Like many of Seth Macfarlane's animated shows, American Dad is not afraid to go after everything pop culture. Over the 10+ seasons of the animated series, Stan and his family have riffed on music, movies, and especially television. From CW hits like The 100 to classic TV shows like The Golden Girls, see exactly how American Dad has taken jabs at TV through the years and enjoy their clever takes on so many of our favorites. If you're going to parody a show, then why not go for one of the most popular modern-day sitcoms of all time? Of course, we're talking about The Office. A job at the CIA is probably nothing like the hijinks at a little paper company in Scranton, Pennsylvania, but American Dad made the whole opening act of the Flirting with Disaster episode feel like an animated version of The Office. Instead of Jim pranking Dwight, we had Bullock pull out a weapon, watched fighter jets fly through the air, and showcased a janitor cleaning up a pretty messy interrogation room. The parody was a great juxtaposition on life in the CIA, with Patrick Stewart providing some great on-camera interviews as Bullock. For the 200th episode of American Dad, the show went into survival mode. Surviving the apocalypse, that is. The 200 takes on all your favorite young adult survival stories, mainly focusing on the CW's The 100. The story involves a group of 100 people who go back to a post-apocalyptic Earth and try to survive. One of the best parts of the parody features the character of Principal Lewis, who is now a cannibal feasting on anyone he can find with a group of other survivors. The group is a clear spoof of the Reapers from The 100. The show may not have the same popularity as other hits like The Walking Dead, but was a great option to make fun of and really taps into the subgenre well. 100 episodes before American Dad took on The 100, they were celebrating the 100th episode in a major fashion. In a creative and slightly disturbing decision, the show decided to write off 100 characters, and even featured an on-screen countdown to keep track of each demise. Before the episode started, we got to enjoy a special opening focused on the plot of the episode and introduced by none other than Roger. But this wasn't the normal Roger we were used to. He was designed and dressed as the Crypt Keeper from the classic anthology TV series Tales from the Crypt. The short moment added a nice touch to the pretty gruesome episode and made us wish we saw more of Roger as the Crypt Keeper. Perhaps a Halloween episode in the future could make this wish come true. Roger attempts all kinds of shenanigans, but performing surgery in a house probably wasn't the best decision. Just when we thought the surgery was a success, Roger reveals he lost the patient a while before. As he covers the body with a sheet, we are treated to some somber music with a voiceover narration where Roger gives us his best Zach Braff impression.
You know, the thing about working in a hospital is if you don't have a funny black friend, things get pretty boring.
Vanilla Bear! Let's go grab a beer and see what Carla and the mean janitor are doing.
Ah, take whatever you want!
The whole scene was meant to be a play on the NBC sitcom Scrubs and how the show would often feature sad moments to close out episodes. Then all of a sudden an animated Turk appears and our spirits are lifted a little. The Scrubs parody also made us realize that the hospital-themed show could have lived on for years if it turned into an animated show. We love animated Turk. There's nothing like a good television public service announcement to teach us a thing or two we will likely forget over the next commercial break. Over the years, NBC has relied on some of its biggest stars to create the More You Know PSA campaign. Everything from Saturday Night Live to The Simpsons have parodied the PSA over the years, and American Dad got in on the mix for the episode Now and Gwen. When Gwen reveals some shady business she has going on, she tries to keep Francine out of it by letting her know the less you know, the better. All of a sudden, we are treated to an NBC-style The Less You Know graphic animating across our screen. The random moment was a fun touch and a great way to continue the parody tradition. We can only imagine that the American Dad writers spend a ton of time working on the creative titles they come up with for every single episode. Among the great titles are a large collection of titles which directly parody TV shows. There's Dope and Faith, a parody of ABC's former Kelly Ripa sitcom Hope and Faith. Elias is based off of Alias, and Franny 911 is a parody of Nanny 911. Some of the episodes took TV show names directly, like Family Affair and Lost in Space. Then there are some of the more obscure show references, including The Great Space Roaster instead of The Great Space Coaster, or You Det Your Life, a parody of You Bet Your Life. Stay tuned to see more of the parody titles and how they tie into moments on the show. When a family named Betty comes to visit the family in the episode Edible Panties, Roger must get into a disguise. He opts for a button-up shirt, moppy blonde wig, and big glasses. He may call himself Phil in the episode, but it's pretty obvious the character is actually based off of Oliver from the Brady Bunch.
Can I help? No, it's all right, Oliver. I can handle it. But I wanted the family now. I'm supposed to help. It's okay. I can get it. Well, if you insist. Oh, gee, I'm sorry. I was just trying to help.
For those who don't remember, Oliver is the cousin of the Brady's kids who moved in with the family after all the kids started aging way too much. Oliver was a big turning point on the show, ridiculed for joining and often pointed to as a sign of the show's cancellation. No wonder American Dad focused on the goofy character. In the episode Virtual Insanity, we get to celebrate Steve's birthday, which includes the tradition of watching him in old home movies. When the movie montage plays a clip of Steve's childhood, you may get some pretty strong feelings of nostalgia. The reason? The show writers and producers based the home video clips off of the classic opening from the Wonder Years. They made the footage look a little worn, much like the Wonder Years clips, and the music that went along with the footage felt like something that could fit right in with the classic show. While Wonder Years pulled at the heartstrings, American Dad focused on the laughs, including the homeless guy who yanked Steve off of his bike at the park. When cartoons want an easy go-to parody, then game shows are the way to go. Everything from South Park to The Simpsons have done great game show parodies, capturing the feelings and nonsense that happens on screen. In the American Dad episode Roger and Me, Roger and Stan get selected to be on the game show Best Buddies. The show is clearly a spoof of the Newlywed Game, featuring a similar set design and game format as that show. And while the Newlywed Game has always provided some good laughs, you know the comedy is going to be kicked up a notch when Roger is involved, and that's exactly what happens throughout the episode. Even in cartoon form, taking down a bomb is no easy task. For Stan, the scene with the bomb is made even more intense when the cartoon decides to take on the format of 24. The classic Fox action show used split-screen footage to show real-time action in every single episode, and the format became one of the visual trademarks of the show. On the American Dad episode Conair, we got to enjoy a ton of extra laughs as each split screen showcased different reactions, while Bullock anxiously awaited to see if Stan would properly defuse the bomb or not. The parody was short, but the point was made, and even aired when 24 was still a mega hit for the Fox network at the time. In one of the early moments of the episode, Don't Look a Smith Horse in the Mouth, many of us had to pause the show to actually confirm one of the punchlines. The scene in question has Stan praying to God and asking for forgiveness in having Whoopi Goldberg be portrayed as God in a Muppet special. Say what? Well, the one-liner is not just a random joke. In the holiday TV special, It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas, Whoopi Goldberg was officially cast as the boss, the creator of the universe. Yeah, without being even more direct, she was pretty much God. And American Dad decided it was necessary to point out that small detail from the NBC special. American Dad is not afraid to go deep in the pool of TV shows to pull out some fun references. In the episode Less Money, Mo Problems, Stan's problems end up landing him at a fast food joint. On the establishing shot of the restaurant, take a good look at the store name. It's Kel's Good Burger. This is a clear reference to the classic Nickelodeon sketch series All That. On the show, Kel Mitchell would constantly star in the Good Burger sketch where he played a dim-witted cashier who would mess up orders. The success of the sketch eventually led to a feature-length Good Burger movie and was memorable enough to warrant a quick gag on American Dad. Speaking of deep references, American Dad also took on the Twilight Zone. While many shows resort to parodies of Terror at 30,000 Feet, American Dad took things one step further by focusing a parody on the Twilight Zone short, It's a Good Life. In the story, a young boy with powers sends people into large cornfields and we never see them again. On the American Dad episode, I Can't Stand You, we see the motel named the Cornfield Motel, and also meet a strange little boy named Johnny. The whole episode is worth watching to see some of the more subtle details and jokes packed into the story. A lot of times you may see a moment or scene and not think anything of it until later on. This is exactly the case in the episode The Kidney Stays in the Picture. In one of the subplots, Klaus becomes Roger's secretary and decides to change his look with red hair, a red dress, and some red shoes. Turns out the whole goldfish wardrobe change was based off of Mad Men, and more specifically the character of Joan Holloway, played by Christina Hendricks. Her look was made iconic on the show, and American Dad had a fun time spoofing the look on a fish. The bright red lipstick was another nice touch. The episode Toy Hoary does not begin like a typical American Dad episode. We are thrust into a scene with Steve as he cruises along a dirt road inside of a Jeep. The character driving the Jeep, a parody of the classic TV cartoon Gumby. It turns out that the whole scene was all part of Steve's imagination, and Stan spends the episode trying to get Steve to give up his toys once and for all. Gumby going on a mission in a Jeep is a far cry from the lovable character many people grew up with on television. Of course, younger generations watching the episode probably have no clue who he even is. Of course, younger generations watching the episode probably have no idea who he even is. Either way, it's still funny to watch Gumby try to outrun those terrifying monkey trolls. American Dad sure does love poking fun at 80s sitcoms, including the classic family show Punky Brewster. In the episode Stanny Boy and Frantastic, Stan and Francine get tickets to attend a show called Cirque du Soleil Moon Frye. The Soleil Moon Frye title is actually the name of the lead Punky Brewster actress, but the Punky Brewster jokes go even deeper from there. When describing what the show actually is, we learn it's about an actress who gets stuck in a refrigerator and must use dancing to escape. Turns out the children getting stuck in a fridge was actually a plot line featured in the episode Cherry Lifesaver. The episode was played up as one of those serious special episodes where the children viewing at home were supposed to learn that it's not a bright idea to hide inside of a large fridge because you could suffocate. Life lessons. Shows that air on Fox often like to make fun of other shows on Fox. Family Guy and The Simpsons have been making jabs at each other for years, and American Dad has gotten in on the mix a lot as well. Another show all of the animated hits seem to make fun of? Fox's reality series The Simple Life, starring Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. American Dad did a direct send-up of the series, showcasing the two stars in a spin-off of the show, which puts them in jail, doing hard time behind bars. The parody helps the whole plot of the episode get in motion as television shows get criticized for some of its offensive content. All this coming from a show which showed an alien and goldfish falling in love with each other. Now for this next one, we're not sure if this is an actual TV reference or just a major coincidence. In the episode Country Club, we learn that Steve actually has an a cappella group named Here Comes Treble. The clever pun and name of the group is the exact same one Andy has mentioned multiple times in The Office. And just a couple of years after American Dad made the joke, we actually got to see Here Comes Treble appear on The Office. It's just too bad we didn't get to see a live-action Steve make a cameo appearance. And we also have to wonder if both shows just came up with the same joke, or if American Dad wanted to connect The Office in some way.
I'll be better when I'm older. I'll be the greatest fan of your life.
After Stan and Francine watch the classic sitcom Bewitched, Stan decides he wants to live life like a guy in the 60s, which includes a whole lot of hard liquor. Stan cannot handle so many drinks, often getting drunk and losing control of himself. On one occasion, he goes so far to even envision his wife as the star of Bewitched, and we get to see a reincarnation of the Bewitched title sequence. Of course, this is American Dad, and things don't go exactly as planned as the witch flies straight into a building and causes a massive explosion. Then the show adds a whole other layer to the intoxicated fantasy with a website link to conspiracies about witches. In the episode Naked to the Limit, the discovery of Roger means the alien may possibly have to return back home. To help remember the alien and his shenanigans with the family, we are treated to a whole montage of funny clips and moments. Turns out the song used in the clip is actually the theme song to the classic sitcom MASH. The whole montage and the use of the music was a parody of the very final MASH episode entitled Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen. Choosing to parody the moment was a smart decision for the creators of American Dad, considering how the finale was one of the highest rated shows of all time. And keeping up with the Roger theme, let's talk about his bizarre storyline in the episode Stanny Slickers 2. Roger sees the big paychecks that come with harassment suits in the workforce and decides to dress as a woman and tries to get harassed himself. As part of the ruse, he eventually plays both a girl and a guy at the same company. At one point, he talks to another employee and mentions a Seinfeld episode which aired years prior. The casual office mention of a Seinfeld episode was in direct reference to a guy who was really fired in the 90s for bringing up this Seinfeld Junior Mint episode to his coworkers. The episode features a plot where Seinfeld cannot remember a girl's name, and it ends up rhyming with a body part. Her name? Dolores. In the episode CIA POW, we see Bullock go through a full transformation as he adds robotics to his body and becomes a ruthless fighting machine. In one shot, you can spot a large headset on the character. The moment was a specific reference to Bullock's voice actor, Patrick Stewart. Known for playing Captain Picard on Star Trek The Next Generation, the episode The Best of Both Worlds showcased Picard in almost the exact same design. The quick moment was a great dedication to the Star Trek actor and a fun way to tie back into a popular episode of the television series. For non-Star Trek fans, we got to see Bullock like we'd never seen him before, and the moment still totally works. The Golden Girls have been the hot new trend in recent years with a slew of merchandise, reruns of the show, and all kinds of memes popping up online. While years before the Golden Girls re-emerged into the pop culture stratosphere, American Dad referenced the popular ladies. During the episode Mean Francine, we meet a group of high school girls who not only reference themselves as the Golden Girls, but they wear some retro golden jackets with the GG initials on them. Sadly, unlike the Golden Girls theme song, Thank You for Being a Friend, these high school chicks are a part of a mean clique we wouldn't want any part of. Some show references fade over the years, and this includes the popular HBO series Entourage. Back in its heyday, the show following a group of Hollywood friends was all the rage, and allowed the characters to become fodder for jokes and punchlines on shows like American Dad. Just take a look at the episode A Piñata Named Desire. When Steve visits a young men's clothing store, a random gag features childlike versions of the Entourage crew, with a mini turtle leading the charge in the scene. It's fun to see the Entourage characters all animated, but the joke doesn't hold up so well this many years later, as newer generations may not even realize what that show is. While Entourage has kind of faded away, there is another show that has ended up still popular among fans. We're talking about the classic AMC series Breaking Bad. American Dad took on the series head on with the episode Faking Bad. Instead of focusing on drugs, the episode follows Steve's journey as he begins to sell fake IDs around town. At one point, Steve wears a similar hat to Walter, and we get treated to some Breaking Bad music as multiple scenes get reenacted by the young teen. There are a lot of obvious references in the episode, along with a lot of subtle moments featuring the characters and various plot points. All of it is brilliantly done, with multiple plots interweaving with each other, including Stan's investigation into the whole fake ID scheme. And there you have it. American Dad has been on TV for over a decade, and in that time they have managed to skewer dozens and dozens of shows. What parody was your favorite? Any funny ones we missed? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to ScreenRant for more great content.